Hello everyone and welcome to my home. I wanted to invite you in today to show you something that I've made for my home office that's part of my permanent home decor. It's my wooden shadow box. These are all made from vintage picture frames that I found at flea markets. Here are some easy to make shadow boxes that you're gonna love for your seasonal decor. We'll start with what I'm calling the totally economic Wreath Shadow Box. We'll spend about $5 total using a couple of Dollar Tree items and some scrap cardboard and fabric. This is a wreath ring that I found at the dollar store. It's 14 inches in diameter. I'm just gonna trace around the outside edge. This is gonna be the back surface of my shadow box. And I'm gonna cut this out slightly smaller than the circle I drew. All right, there's my back. I have this great fabric that's actually a sequin fabric with matte silver sequins and teeny tiny little shiny silver sequins on a white background. And I think this will look terrific as the background in my shadow box, as well as the outside cover. I have this really great trim from the hobby store that wasn't expensive at all. It was $2.79 per yard. It's just about 40 inches long, which will give me just about the right length from where it hangs to where it meets the box and still allow for my frame. I've cut a piece of cardboard just at the depth that I want my shelf to come up, which is about 2.5 inches or so from the bottom edge. I've cut another piece the same width, which is slightly less than the outside. So I'm gonna place this in here and go ahead and run a bead of glue on both sides. I just need to make sure that I'm not actually stuck to the box itself. And I am going to put another support piece here in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and cover it in its own piece of matching fabric. I have this silver tinsel that I bought a number of years ago. It's kind of a neat texture and also has some iridescence or aurora borealis. I've started winding it around, and that's all I'm doing is winding it around my wreath ring. So this is one of those things that literally anyone could do. And I just want to smooth it out and get it pretty evenly distributed along my wreath. I'm going to use my little zip ties and poke a hole through my cardboard side and put my zip tie in and tighten it. Now, don't tighten it all the way because you need to make sure that this is evenly balanced. I'm going to come across to the other side, directly opposite it now. All right, that's it. It's ready to go. So really, for about 10 bucks or so, depending on what supplies you already have that you want to use, you can make this really cute shadow box wreath. Then we'll work on the large wreath shadow box. It's made from part of a hat box, a wire frame, and some inexpensive tinsel. Here is a really beautiful box that I got at the hobby store. They're marked at $11.99 and it was 50% off. And I think this is the largest box you can get, or close to it. It's 16.25 inches. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down and use it to make 2 boxes. It measures 7 inches in depth, including this lip here, but I know that 4 inches would be about right and would leave me another 3 inches to either make a more shallow one or use it as a form for another one. This ends up being a really good size to attach this wreath frame that came from the dollar store. This is the 18-inch wreath frame, and I love it because the inside is about 14 inches, which is a great opening. And I found this at the hobby store also. It's this beautiful white iridescent tinsel with a lot of texture in it. And this is how I'm going to wrap my frame. You could leave it this way, use wrapping paper, or use some glitter, or paint the whole inside. I'm going to use fabric with red sequins on it. I love working with felt because it has a lot of body to it. You can move it around. You don't have to finish the edges. The inside is now covered and glued down, but I do want to put a piece of trim here. And I'm going for a red and white candy cane type theme. So I'm just going to glue this down right along the edge. That'll help finish that edge off. I'm ready to decorate the outside of my box. I have this ribbon that's actually a red and white stripe with glitter in it and this fun silver and red tinsel on the edge. It's going to look really good as the outside of my box. Very good. That matched up almost perfectly. I've got the inside, the outside, the back still looks nice and clean. This has been spray painted white. I think that's gonna look really, really stunning with all the red and white. This is gonna be such a fun wreath and different from the other ones I'm doing. A good tip on wrapping the tinsel around is that I have folded it in half in its entire length, and I'm going to take that halfway point here and start wrapping it. That way you're not dealing with the whole length, and it goes pretty quickly this way. I love it. I love the texture. And the fact that it's a little bit more of a shallow box doesn't bother me at all. And I've used some of the same cord that I have, and I've cut it about 45 inches long. I'm going to use the same method. I'm twisting some pipe cleaner, and I'm going to insert this in the hole that I've made, put down a little hot glue, bring my pipe cleaners through my red buttons, and pull that as tight as I can get it. The wreath does stick out around the outside edge. I'll make this as easy as possible for myself and try and go from the center bottom. I'm going to make another hole center top, and then my two sides. And 4 holes is really all you need to attach this in 4 places. I'm going to find that center bar. I've got to bring it through all my tinsel, then just snip off the end pieces. One more thing is maybe a nice bow. And even though I really don't think it's a good idea to put a whole lot of ornamentation on the outside of the wreath, in this case, having the red and white striped here I think would look really good with the red background. But I think this will be nice. Finally, The Splurge Wreath Shadow Box. It's the easiest to make using a pre-made ornament wreath that's attached to a store-bought round box. Here is my hat box that I cut down to 4 inches in depth. This is the wreath that I found that I'm going to use. I bought it at Pop Shelf for $25. The inside only measures 8 inches in diameter, but you can see that it looks really nice with the Merry Christmas on the background, and I'm gonna leave it just that way. I had this beautiful bright green and red sort of velvety flocked ribbon. Not sure where I got it. I've had it for a few years, and it matches perfectly with the inside of the box and the outside, that beautiful candy stripe with the bright green. What I did was I marked in ink exactly where I wanted the hangers to be so that I could slot the ribbon through in order for it to hang. And then I just pulled that through. Now I need to spread my ribbon out again. Make sure I've got that as flat as I can get it. Now I'm just gonna run a bead of glue here and fold this up. That looks really nice. It's going to hang our shadow box perfectly. The next step is to make a riser for this one as well, using cardboard pieces again, the way I did on my other shadow boxes. I'm adding these support pieces of cardboard in the middle. I've taken a piece of cardboard and folded it basically in a Z pattern. And I'm going to run some hot glue here and put it in. I will go back and paint this later. Folding the tabs down. And this fits just about perfectly, but not quite, because the back side of my wreath is really curved, and I'm going to be gluing these onto the curved surface. I'm only going to run the hot glue in the center of my tabs because I'm going to be pressing on these blindly. I'm going to lay that down, make sure that it's centered from top to bottom and side to side. And now I can go in, feel those tabs, and press them down. My frame is nicely attached. It's not going anywhere. I have my little riser on the inside that I covered with red wrapping paper. I hope you're able to do a project like this and really enjoy putting it together for yourself and displaying it proudly in your home. This is Rick with Art Collection. Thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting. Happy holidays.